Anybody want to weigh in?
Music crosses cultures, languages, religions, beliefs, political parties, stereotypes, associations, and social classes. Music brings people together. It energizes, it motivates, it encourages, it excites, it inspires, and transports people to places they either do or do not want to go. Music affects people across the world, sometimes bringing them together, sometimes separating them, and occasionally producing feelings and emotions that have never been felt before. Since childhood, I have loved music. I listen to it in the car, I listen to it going to sleep, and even while I'm just hanging around the house. There are many intricate parts of music that go into the making of a song. When true musical talent is applied, the final product can bring people to tears. There are a variety of different feelings that people have when listening to music, and different things, different music means different things to different people. So for our first example, I'm going to play a song called Adagio for Strings. The first time I heard this song, I was in a car with one of my friends, and it was late at night, and I was exhausted, and he decided he wanted to show me this song, and just because of the situation I was in, it brought me to tears. I felt sorrow, I felt sadness, I was reminiscent on old things, and just the whole situation of where I was at that time. The music really brought out those emotions, and I was able to release them in a good manner. I don't, to this day, I don't cry when I listen to that song, but it still shows those types of feelings. A quote from Johnny Depp says, "Music touches us emotionally where words alone can't." That is definitely true, particularly in classical music where there aren't words. Those can go across cultures, and that music is a language that speaks to all people. A second example. This piece is called The Planets, and this one particular one is Jupiter, and it's very interesting because it sounds almost like an outer space, something that you hear on a movie. And a quote from Oliver Sacks in his article about the power of music: "There are some people who can scarcely hold a tune in their heads, and others who can hear entire symphonies in their minds, with a detail and vividness little short of actual perception." When I think of this piece, I have most of it memorized, even though it's classical. I can hear all of the different melodies and different parts of it in my head, whereas some people can only recall one specific melody or one tune at one time. This next song I'm going to play, I'll just play for you.
The snow glows white on the mountain tonight, not a footprint to be seen. A kingdom of isolation, and it looks like I couldn't keep those eyes
some of you, when you heard this song, you were like, please, not again. This song is so annoying, and there are so many people who have been singing it for the past several years since it came out. But to some people, like myself, it brings extreme excitement and enjoyment and reminds me of my childhood, even though I still pretty much am a child. But music like this, to some people will mean one thing, and to other people will mean something totally different, and they bring about different feelings at different situations in life at different times. Speaking of movies, music plays a large role in movies, particularly in scary movies or suspense movies. They play a lot of really, really loud or high-pitched, oftentimes on the violin. So here's an example of that. That piece is very suspenseful. It kind of brings feelings of agitation and suspense, and that would be used in order to cause somebody to feel a little bit on edge in order to create suspense in movies. Music often arouses feelings of joy, sadness, peacefulness, or unrest. These deep emotions can bring people to tears without even realizing why. For those who are deeply demented or have mental illnesses, music can often bring them temporary peace and tranquility. That brings me to my next part that talks about how certain people can be more sensitive to music. Oliver Sacks writes in his article about patients with illnesses who are heavily impacted by music. A few of Mr. Oliver's Alzheimer's patients are able to recall memories and feelings of the past when listening to music that is familiar to them, and it brings them temporary peace, and they're able to feel joy in those moments. Also, music is used in the therapy with those who have autism. It calms them down. Certain types of music, of course, that have less of a drum beat or less of rhythm, they are often very calming and can help those whose minds are distracted and disorderly, help them be organized and more thoughtful at times. Music with studying, there are some people who can listen to music when they study, and there are some people who cannot. Me, I am very in-depth with music. I think about all the different parts in it, and it captures my attention. It captures my whole body and my all of my attention. So when I can't listen to music when I'm studying, otherwise it distracts me and I can't think about what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. Whereas my roommate at college, she is able to listen to musicals that have talking and stories going on, and even movies while she's writing papers, and I don't understand that, but it's very interesting how music impacts certain people, whereas others it doesn't in that heavy of a manner. Music brings people together. Here's an example of this. So particularly people who live in the South, and in this case Alabama, this song, Sweet Home Alabama, really brings out Southern pride, and they can relate to the things talked about, or it brings out memories from their youth, whereas other people who may have never heard this or are not any way involved in Alabama would be basically indifferent to this music. So it can bring people together, certain groups of people together, while also separating them from other groups of people. On a larger scale, you have songs like this.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, work for all my life, to be living here today, as the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, wearing these skies on my free.
This song, God Bless the USA, is particularly in this time around July 4th, really brings out national pride and patriotism the people who listen to it, and it oftentimes means more around specific holidays like July 4th or Memorial Day, or even brings people together. For example, in September 11, people became a lot more nationalistic and much more for their country when listening to things like this because of the national crisis, and everybody was coming together in order to deal with the pain. So music really brings people together in certain times, specifically in times like that. Another one of my favorite songs that is just very energizing and exciting is this one.
Like a small boat on the ocean rain, I will scream loud tonight. Can you hear my voice this time? This is my fight song. Take back my life song.
So this song, called Fight Song by Rachel Platten, will, especially if somebody is going through a difficult time and they feel like they're fighting for their life, those who battle with cancer, or somebody who may have just had a breakup who's just trying to feel self-empowered, will listen to songs like this, and it will be very encouraging and allow them to feel empowered and get them excited about certain things, particularly before sports events and things like that is often used. Music is a common ground in all areas, bringing people together in high school and in college, especially through bands, and it's often used as it's often played in the background of music stores, and it sets certain moods that store would like to portray. It unites people for all different reasons. Oliver Sacks talks about music in large crowds. When people come together to create music in communal groups, there often seems to be an actual binding of nervous systems, the unification of an audience by a veritable neurogamy. One last testimony of music's effect is from one of my friends, Tinsley Griffin, who, after playing a concert at a church, one lady who was deaf came up to her through an interpreter who knew sign language, asked if she could hold Tinsley's violin. She played the violin while she played, so that she could feel the vibrations, because she was deaf and she had never heard the violin before, but she knew that it was a beautiful instrument. So the lady put her hands on the violin while Tinsley played, and it brought tears to her eyes because she could feel the vibrations, and even though she couldn't hear the actual notes that were being played, the different variety of vibrations through the instrument caused just feelings of maybe sadness or joy or peace and tranquility, but so music can touch even people who are deaf. In conclusion, I'll share one of my favorite songs, basically because it's the only one of its kind that I know. So here it goes.